Has anybody ever fasted? I mean, like really, like fasted, right? Show of hands. Anybody's fasted? It's okay if you haven't. Yeah. I'm not necessarily talking about intermittent fasting either. I'm talking about like spiritual fasting, right? I didn't know, I did not know what fasting was, and then a pastor had mentioned it to me probably 20, it was 20 years ago, probably close to 20 years ago. And so I asked my father-in-law, I said, well, he's just genius or scholar. I mean, he knows everything, and biblically. And I was like, what's the fasting? What do you do? He said, well, you don't tell anybody. I said, oh, okay. And then he was like, and you fast from something that's like in your regular schedule, or whatever, right? I mean, this is the way he kind of taught it to me. There's all these different kinds of ways of fasting and different thought processes behind that. But I was trying to find something that related to me. So at that time, I was going to leave my father's company business that I'd been my entire life, and I was going to pick up my wife and my kids and move 5 hours south and open up a store. And I felt like I couldn't, no matter how much I prayed, I couldn't feel that feeling. I'm saved, but it's like I wasn't getting deep enough in a conversation with God. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Like I could pray, like right now I just prayed, right? It's a prayer. We would all say that was a prayer, right? Gotcha. But there's these prayers though that we have with God where an emotion comes up that is stirred in us. And we feel a deepness and a humility and a submission, obedience to Him. And it's like my conversation with God just became so intimate and so personal that I realized that I can't withhold anything because He's already seen it and already knows it. Not from just my past that I'm asking forgiveness for, but for my future that I've not lived in yet. And it's this conversation with God that I don't need anybody else to be around. That I just want to talk to my Father. And all this emotion rages into you when you have those kind of intimate prayers where you know that you're not doing it just because you're in a bad season of life, you're going through something hard. But it's this emotion and this surge of just this love and appreciation and thankfulness of that you're able to speak and someone else is on the other line. Like it's not just you going through some pattern. Does that make sense? And I was in this turmoil because I was doing this and I was like, I need something else to elevate what's going on here because I'm still not just confident to walk, to get out on that water. Like I can see the signs that say it's of God, it's of God, it's of God, right? So everybody says that, like that's a God thing. I'm like, probably not. That's probably not a God thing. That's a you thing, and it just worked out. Like there's a God thing and there's a God thing, right? Well, God's not a thing, and God doesn't do things in things. He is a permanent. He is a permanent presence. A thing is a moment. You see. And so I talked with him, and at that time, I needed to find a deeper relationship with God. I thirsted it. I read my Bible. I did all these many things, but like I needed something deeper because, and I'll tell you, if you in that season of life, you can get kind of frustrated, and you can read your Bible backwards and forwards. That's great. I mean, you can do that. You can over church yourself, but that's like being in a relationship with a loved one and gift giving them to death. But what you find out is you could have saved a lot of money because you really didn't have to buy them anything. You could have just been more intimate. Like my wife says, turn the TV off. I'm like, why? Right? I'm just being honest. So I'm just, like, okay. But the point is that it's a more intimate relationship. It's more super conscious, hyper focused intentional, all-in kind of deal. So I fasted, so I was like, okay, well, cool. I need to find something to fast from. And I thought, well, I'm not going to just like not eat, right? That makes no sense. And so I fasted from sugar, okay? Well, because I have I can live off sweets. I don't have to eat anything else. I literally can just eat sweets, cake, crumble, all that stuff. I could just literally live off that. I'm just saying, Little Debbie, and ice cream, and when I realized though, when I started fasting, when I realized that sugar's in everything. I didn't know that. Stupid me. Well, the problem is I already said I was going to fast. I told God that, like I'm fasting from sugar. It's just me and him thing. Well, then, for some reason, God decided to tell me, hey, Dumbo, bread breaks down to sugar. Gum has sugar. Ketchup has sugar. So I started looking. Thank goodness, like Mexican food really don't have any sugar in it. Because I'm here to tell you, I smashed on some Mexican. Because we lived in our town we grew up in doesn't have a red light, has 6,000 people, but it's got 5 Mexican restaurants. And I think they're all kin and they don't like each other. It's amazing. But it was the thing. So it became really serious. One time, unknowingly, I ate something probably after I realized that. I said, "No, if I'm in, I'm in," because I want God to see that I have the self-control and the self-discipline to commit to this. And it's there's no glory because nobody knows about it, right? There's no pride because nobody knows about it. And I ate something, and I can't remember what it was, but it hit me. I was like, it was a habit. I just did it real quick, and I was like, and I'm not kidding y'all, guys. I broke down. Because at that moment, it felt like I sinned against God. Because it was an agreement in a relationship. I don't know how to explain it. I really don't know how to explain it. So then I realized I was going to fast I just made up something like 20 days or something. I had not signed my paperwork, my business paperwork to move. I had not told my dad and them that I was going to quit, which I started when I was 15, and that time I was around 28 years old. So that's all I've ever known. I was living in this fear of wife's crying. We have little kids and we don't make any money, so this was just totally craziness that I'm even doing this. And something told me, God said, "You're going to do it for 40 days." Now, mind you, I'm a sugar addict, like bad. So I did it for 40 days, and on 40 days, by the way, I did it through the holidays, unintentionally, because I wasn't going to, it went past Thanksgiving. Well, Thanksgiving, I'm from Mississippi, like everybody overeats and all the good food's there, right? And like all the good sweet cake, all that stuff. So I actually went through Thanksgiving in that same deal. I didn't plan to. I wanted to go like 20 because I timed it right. Well, guys, at the end of that deal, the day 40, I got a call that afternoon and said, "Hey, all your paperwork's ready. Everything's done. You're a go." The lease, the guy wouldn't do a 1-year lease, blah, 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 blah. Everything came to its fullness on the day 40. It's crazy. I'm telling y'all, you just have no idea. I praise God. I got so emotional. I'm telling you, it happened exactly on day 40. And it was like God was wanting me to go through that season of submission and the intimacy, because it was in preparation for something I didn't know where I was heading or didn't know it. And it was also a thing where if I give everything to Him, my relationship becomes better and closer with Him. So before I go out on this, I'm no longer going out on my own. I'm going with Him because we have just it's bond, right? He's always been there. I've just not always came, right? So you look at this in life, and this is why I want to explain that to you. By the way, I have fasted, I think, 4 other times since then. One time I did 90 days on something else. I will sip on coffee in here, but about a year ago, I was drinking a cup, and then I would drink like 3 cups a day. And then one day, it hit me. I said, "I'm going to quit coffee drinking." And I stopped that day and didn't touch a cup for I mean, probably better part of a year. Quit drinking it. And it wasn't deal with coffee. Somebody, when I go somewhere, they're like, you want to coffee? I don't drink coffee. And they're like, I'm like, what the? And they're like, well, you want, if I'm on, like, because I'm doing these things in my head because it is a constant discipline. Well, it's not constant discipline, but here's what happens. Every time I thought about sugar, I thought about God. Every time I wanted to get something that I was fasting from, I prayed. So I replaced the habit or the things. What it does, it shook me up. It shook up my whole day. It shook up everything because I was constantly reminded, you want a piece of gum? No, I'm good. No, because I'm telling you, it was that was a constant reminder of, hey. So I mean, I was praying a dozen times a day. It was revolutionary to me. So what I wanted to talk about this morning as I roll into this is fasting, not feasting. Okay? Fasting, not feasting. When we look at our lives, guys, and y'all probably thought I put a peace sign behind me. It's not a peace sign, but it is a peace sign, right? Can't see it. There's a peace sign behind me. So what I wanted to show you here, and I'm going to tell you this now. I was going to wait and tell you. I'll tell you this now. Would you say that you work 8 hours a day or 10 hours? Include your drive time. Some of y'all are like, man, that's a long day, right? But a lot of you, it isn't, right? Say 8 to 10 hours, right? Okay. Would you say that maybe if you take in when you lay in the bed and then you sleep and then you're getting out of the bed, could that run anywhere from up to 8 hours? 6 hours? Okay. This right here, I just want you to visualize, see this. This right here, I'm telling you, on average, you're on average because you're a real man, okay? On average, this is your life, okay? So you've got work. So I have a 24-hour day, 8 hours is work. Y'all work more than 8 hours. You have to. You just have to. And if you drive anywhere, you're at 10, okay? Minimum. But I've got it at 8. That's 3 sections. Sleep, your wind down time, your blah, blah. Let's just say it's 8. Leaves you about 8 hours a day. But I don't think it really does, okay? Because I think we as men work more like 10 hours, okay? So that's going to come over here a little bit more, okay? Right? Does anybody eat? Right? We eat, right? So if you think about this too, if you think about the eating part, you got to take that into account. Well, what about if you go to the gym? Right? What else do you do during the daytime? Go to the bathroom, us men, right? Let's just be honest, because what I'm saying is I want you to think about your day, and I want you to break it down by the hour. Okay? If any of y'all are on social media, right? If you get on social media, if you scroll, right, you got to factor that in. If your TV time, you got to have a wind down time because blah blah blah, an hour or two there. You understand what I'm saying? So my point is that you want to talk about fasting. If you don't know, man, I'm going to do a fast. It makes no sense to me. I got you. It's cool. What I'm asking is you to think about. I'm telling you, if you start playing this game, you're going to realize that your schedule is all this stuff here is garbage, and then this is your time here. And I'm telling you, I can break it down for you. You're looking at about 3 hours at max a day that you've got flexible. Some of you are different, I know, I understand that. But if you start looking at this, I'm telling you, it's going to blow your mind. You say, well, why do I share this with you? I share this with you because sometimes we need to fast. Me and Adam talked about this. He does it for sure, and we talk about it. But we've got to do some fasting. What that means is sometimes, what I'm saying to this is our life is driven by feasting. So what do you mean? We are a dopamine-driven world. Does that make sense? The sugar, like eating sweets, is a shot of dopamine. I work out because of the dopamine. I can promise you. My wife's a therapist. She says, you need to go work out this morning. And why is that? Well, the mornings I don't work out and I just get up and I'm just in present, I'm a totally different person. I'm very lethargic. I don't have any energy. I'm not really a good mood. I'm not very social. It's totally different. I have to get up. I do it for that. I don't do it for, any other reason. When we get addicted to stuff, social media, if you have kids, that's dopamine driven. Likes, approvals. So-and-so didn't like my page. They didn't mention this. They liked your page, didn't like my page. They liked your thing, didn't like my thing. It's dopamine. It's driven dopamine. To get your approval, it's dopamine. You see? Why men are so sexually driven? Well, it's because of the way we're made. But it's just super honest. After you have intercourse, that is a dopamine. It is a high. It makes us feel stronger. It makes us feel inferior. It makes us feel just better, right? And sometimes when I need more assurance, more affirmation, I'm actually more sexually driven at that time period. When I'm really in my mind, I may be depressed and everything else, but I need that shot of dopamine. Why do people get on stimulants? Why does people drink energy drinks? It's that surge. No, it's not healthy, but yeah, I can get that surge. Or Adderalls and all this other stuff that are abused, they get that shot of dopamine. Does that make sense to you? So when you think about these things, that is feasting. Okay? When you buy something, I've got on these kind of kicks, right? I got ADHD. I'll get fixated on something and I'm reckless. COVID was terrible, right? People bought. Why would you buy when you don't even know what's happening with the world? But people had record sales during that time, and they have less income. It's mind-boggling to me, right? We're buying stuff we don't need. We're overpaying for vehicles 40%. We're doing stuff. I mean, Amazon was coming to our house, and I'm sure some of y'all's too. Like, it made me want to buy more that whatever I bought could be there in 2 hours. I was like, why would I not buy it? It's a God thing. You know what I'm saying? Right? Right? But it's feasting, not fasting. Fasting is the removal of something. And I'm telling you, this is a me thing. I'm preaching to myself, and I'm talking to myself, guys. I have to practice. I have to think in a fasting mentality instead of a feasting lifestyle. Because the world will eat you up and will spit you out. It will ruin your marriage. It will ruin your relationships. It will ruin your friendships. It'll ruin your job. It'll ruin your walk with God. It'll ruin everything if you're feasting and not fasting. We've got to be able to say no, and we've got to do it with humility, because that relationship and that bond you attain with God is second to nothing. It's absolutely incredible. Me and him could talk every day. We could hang out every day. We could pray together, but it will never replace a relationship with God, an intimate relationship with God, because the things that He will quietly say to you in that moment, in those times, will far surpass anything that Robbie could say, or anything that your loved, or anything you could read in that Bible. When you get to speak to the actual Almighty God, changes everything. But we also, I put this up here, we got to evaluate, do we have time to do that? We got time. Because I've also learned to not say that to God. Because He'll give you a lot of time, like months, right? So we can complain about our job, we can complain about this, or we could just better manage our job and our schedule. Because God can make you have plenty of time, you see. You can complain about, my job, my work. No, you're probably spending too much time in it. You're burning yourself out. You're not managing your time. You're not stepping away during the day. Another thing I did and added to that is a timed prayer. So, and I've talked about this before, I had 7 prayers in a day, and they were timed out. Started at 6, 9, 12, 3, 6, 9, and then a filler prayer is what I called it. I got a screenshot of it. And so my alarm would go off at, say, 9 o'clock. Anywhere I was at, I'd pray. It may be like a 2-minute prayer, but it was a prayer. And I'd have a certain thing I'd hit for each one. I may have to go step in the restroom real quick, or I just, if nobody's around me, I just kind of quietly do this deal. I did that. I did that. I paired that with a fasting one time for 40 days. That will blow your mind, Because when you miss a prayer, you're like, man, I couldn't, man, I was in a meeting, I was whatever. I don't care. Act like you're rubbing your eyes. And pray to God real quick. But you do that. So there's all these things. What we're trying to do is we're trying to elevate our relationship with God. You see, because I'm going to tell you, if my relationship with my wife was always surface level, right, there would be no relationship, right? So if my relationship's always surface level with God, there's never going to be a relationship. You may have a marriage, you may have accepted Him. He sent His Son to that's good. But you've always been surface level, and God calls us to be intimate with Him. He asks us, hey, fast sometimes, quit feasting. You don't have to get the second plate, right? That was a huge milestone for me when I could go to a family event and not eat 3 plates. They still think I do. It's crazy. Like, Ryan, get over and finish it up. And I'm like, I weigh about 215. I weighed about 250 at one point, right? I don't know why Lindsay loved me. I really don't. Because I'd get some SCO Fine Cut, and I could not eat. I get a can of Hormel chili and a bag of Fritos. Yes. And I'd put a bag of Fritos, and I get that whole entire can of chilies. Hey, Stanley, and if Lindsay said, I'd like some chili too, I said, all right, I'll put another can on for us. Like, I wasn't sharing, right? And I'm telling you guys, I'd drip out over there, I'd sit in the recliner, right? And boy, I'd smash, and I couldn't no more get the chili out of my teeth before I put in a big hog. Right there, right? And I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at Lindsay, I'm like, it's going to go down that, isn't it? It worked back then. I don't know why. It worked, but I look back at it, I go, man, either she had like no selection, like, hey, this is like, like this is my choice. Yeah, it wouldn't fly today, I can promise you, right? But I didn't do it. I did it. Like when we got 2 Fry Daddies, y'all remember those things? This little fryer you plug in like an air fryer, but this is like grease, right? It's a little fryer. It's a fryer. Fry Daddies, whatever. And when we got 2 of those things when I got married, I thought this marriage is meant to be. Like, she was like, y'all want to take back anything? I was like, you take back like, a coffee pot or something. We'll need 2 air fryers because when this one burns up, we'll need another one. Everything, you know what I'm saying? But at some point, I had to look at that and say, hey, this what's going in me, right, is not healthy for me. It's not going to benefit me. It's not going to make me better, right? Because the outcome of eating like that over time, right, it affects your body and all these many things, right? So it's the same idea, guys, when we look at stuff that we allow in our circle, we allow in our squares, our triangles, our parts, right? It's an idea of, think of it as the food, like it's unhealthy going into a healthy body. We're the one that tarnishes the healthy body, right? So in our relationship with God, we allow stuff in a great relationship with God, and over time, we become unhealthy, right? So when you read in the scripture, it says, where in Matthew 6:18, Jesus says, wherever you pass, don't be gloomy like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their face, so that their fasting is obvious to people. Truly, I tell you, they have their reward. But when you fast, put on oil on your head and wash your face, so that your fasting isn't obvious to others, but to your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. Right? So we look back at that, and you look back at a time in your life, guys, you may be in that season now. Or more importantly, how about you maybe know somebody in that season right now? Right? It's not always about me. Right? When you're fasting, the joy and the celebration that we have in our relationship with God is that things may change in our lives. Great, not so great, awesome, blah, 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 right? But God never changes, you see. So if our relationship is strong with Him, we know that God's going to take care of it. It may have took 17 years for your wife's remission, right? But it's that perseverance and that prayer and that coming to church and that continual relationship with Him, right? He delivered, right? And we understand He may not have, right? There may be reasoning behind certain things. So not everything that we think in our worldly influenced mindset has nothing to do with his spiritual direction on our life. We don't always know. But I could come a lot better knowing if I had an intimate relationship with him, because I would be so, not in sync, but yeah, kind of in sync with him, where I would see some things and go, you know what? This is because of this. This is because of that. You know? It's frustrating to be in my position and to like have the length of longevity that I've had in a career and still not feel like I've made it, in a sense, right? So what did I do? I quit thinking like that. I have made it because there's joy in the Lord, and I think that's what he's talking about. There's joy in the Lord because I have 3 incredible kids. We're not battling sickness. We're not battling any kind of heaviness or any kind of bad things. I got a beautiful wife that loves and adores me, that craves my attention. She won't leave me. I know, I'm not saying anybody else has thought that, right? But you're like, oh my God, she's so needy, right? I just want to sit here and watch, Naked and Afraid. What's going on here, right? Some of y'all watch that. I've not watched every episode. So when you think about this, it's not that, but I have a wife that thirsts for me. Not you, or not somebody else. She thirsts for me. I have a kids that hang on my reactions and my words. Like they're watching Dad, right? I take joy in that. So when he talks about, like, when you're fasting, don't walk around like, this is terrible. God's going to show me something. No, he's not. He's going to show you something, but it's not going to be what you're thinking. Like you take joy in that because you get to fast. You get to say, hey, you're my God. This is between me and you. I won't tell a soul, right? Because what happens is when we get our reward, guys, it means so much more when it's in secret. Like the joy and the you get to bask in that deal, right? Because you know that you did it without any influence of the outside. Not because Lindsay said you're going to do this, right? Or not because it was your only alternative. Hey, I've lost all my money. I've lost my wife. I've lost this. I almost died. All of that, right? I've been stripped of everything, right? So I guess I'll do this. You could do that, but why would you wait to that point? Why would you not do it in the good times, in the joyful times, right? That's where God says, oh, I see you, buddy. Like I've got you on a good path and you're praising me right now. I love it. Because normally, Ryan, you praise me when you're like at the bottom of the valley, right? Like you're going to give me love right now and not say it was you or you're smart or you're this or that. Like I anticipate the next thing that God does in my life. I can't share that with you because I think it's a me and him thing. But there's key things that I'm waiting for right now that I think God's going to bring to me. But I feel like if I vocalize it, then I will take credit for it when it happens. So I'm keeping it to myself. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all or not at all. Just, but there's some, I can't even tell Lindsay and stuff. But afterwards, I'll tell Lindsay or you or whoever, and say, hey, this happened, and this is what I felt like God was telling me. Lindsay goes, you have premonitions or whatever, whatever. I said, I wouldn't call it that. I think that's non-scriptural to me. Not that it's not thing, right? But I'm saying I think it's God putting things in my brain and stuff and saying, hey, buddy, your reward's over here. Not telling you where you're going to get it, though. But I've got you something. I've got you something. And it's like, I know, God, I love you. And if you don't get me something, I'm still going to love you. Because I love you. When it says here, it says, be still and know that I am God. It's absolutely impossible for most men to do that. It's possible for me to do that. In your schedule, in your life, just stop for a second. Like don't let your prayer just be when you're driving down the road. Don't let your Bible time only be on the Bible app while you're on the toilet. Don't let the only time you hear scriptural, biblical preaching is when you're driving down the road and it's a podcast. Right? Like, just stop. Be still. Just stop. Just stop, and find time. You may have to get up earlier. Or you may have to, at work, you may have to say, hey, Bro, you pay. I've gotten really hardcore about this, but I don't vocalize it because I don't want to get fired. But like, if I work till 6, bro, 6:01, I'm out or I'm done, unless you're gonna pay more, right? And some jobs it's not that way. That's why I'm saying I'm flexible to depending situation. The reason why I said that is because I don't have safe borders, and I'll work all night. I'll find stuff to do for tomorrow, right? But I did that for these big time jobs, and they didn't care. And I thought I was, oh, y'all are gonna see me. You're going, no, they never saw me. And I'm working twice as much as everybody else. I'm killing it. It meant nothing to them. One guy said, why are you working? And I was like, bruh. I mean, he's like, why are you doing this extra and this and this? And I was like, I was expecting him to praise me. And I thought, you know what? Job's a job. At the end of the day, job's a job. I'm not going to get anything eternal out of that deal, right? If I say, well, my job is a witness and it's this, I'm not saying it's not, but I promise you, there's people that will receive your love and your word that isn't forced to because they're sitting beside you at a job. Because when I had businesses, I did that, and then I realized that I almost had to pay them to come to church with me. But I was okay with that because they were coming to church with me. But it really wasn't, I was like, no, okay. He says, be still, know that I'm God. It says, search me. In Psalms 139, it says, search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. And if you see any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Guys, pray that prayer. Think about that and ask God, search me. Search me, search me, search me, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. Try me. That's bold, right? God, try me and see what's up, right? Try me and see, right? Wife says, hey, are you attracted to so-and-so? Are you going to cheat on me? Are you going to do whatever? Guys, we'll answer one time, but that third time, we're like, we're probably going to get in a fight because I've already said 3 times I'm not going to, right? I'm like, look, you are mine. It's that constant assurance. And it's like, try me, right? You're around these influences of negative things, but you've got to be a prayer that says, God, I want you to search me and know my heart. I want you to know my thoughts. God, I don't want to hide anything from you. And you're still going to sin. Like, I'm still going to think things I shouldn't think. I'm still going to say things I shouldn't say. I'm still going to have reactions that I shouldn't have. That's the flesh in me. But I got at least say, God, please search me. Right? It don't matter, Brian, if you ask him or not, he's going to. Right? You can't hide anything from him. When you're asking him, God, search me, it's just your submission to him. He already sees everything. Does that make sense? Like, if you guys think search me, he's like, God's not sitting at your door of your heart and being like, I've been sitting at this door for 2 years, Ryan. Thanks for letting me in. Now I can finally see what's going on inside there. No, he already knew. Search me is just a willingness to submit. Does that make sense? That's like saying, you may be in your life right now, man. There's a lot of men in here right now. There's somebody in here that's not saved that needs to come to know Jesus. Right? Why do you say that? Well, I don't know. Statistically, it's proven. We had Charles Haygood, right? I mean, this guy been to church for almost 40 years. A lot of y'all guys in here know him. Right? He's got baptized. Right? He's been a pillar at this church for 40 years, 30 years, or however long, right? That's pretty bold, right? Prominent businessman, all this many things, right? Some people need to get never been baptized. Baptism is an outward confession of death, burial, and resurrection. It's washed off. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be scared of those things. Make the step and do it. Because I want God to say, God, what do I need to do to submit to you? Right? He's all powerful. He knows everything. The last thing here is submit to commit. Draw not in James 4:8. Draw not nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts. You're double-minded. Y'all may agree with this. I know you do, because y'all are men's men in here. You get here at 6 in the morning. Some of y'all get here. Bill Knox is here. I'm here at 5, and Bill's here at 5:01, maybe. Okay? Charlie's right behind him. Okay? So y'all are men's men. right? If any of y'all in here, I would say I'm pretty confident. If you got pushed, you're probably going to push back, right? If somebody offended somebody you love, you're probably not going to sit there and take that one, right? In Jesus' name, right? Try not to use any foul language. Throw the first punch. Remember, Dad taught us that, right? And if anybody's got a video out, take your shirt off to fight if you're wearing one of these shirts, okay? Right?
Fight Club.
Yeah, take it off. Don't get in the video. Go viral in a bad way. But he says, guys, he says, cleanse your hands. He says, hey, I will always do something to ask for forgiveness for. I'm not perfect. When Lindsay used to try to get me to quit drinking, now mind you, she had a catch, right? Hormel chili, about a half a can of Skull in my front lip, you know? Caveman kind of deal, right? When the words out of my mouth, when she said I was drinking too much, this was early on, I was like, you have no clue. Is I said, basically get off my back, right? Because I just, I work hard. I need to drink on the weekends, which, I got drunk. And then it became a much worse thing. Is I said, you know what? If that's all I do wrong, I think I'm all right. I said it multiple times. And I think about that now, and I was like, well, I can't say the word in this building, but right? What kind of arrogance and ignorance did I have, and narcissism did I have? But how blinded was I at who I really was? Because I would never say, God, search me. I would never want to cleanse my hands. I was feasting. I wasn't fasting, you see. And I'd feasted to so much that the sin became normalized in my life. And it was like, accept it or don't. You don't think I couldn't pull another lady that wouldn't like to live like this? But I'll tell you, it'll affect you so much that even like your children, right? You'll be like, screw it, they can get over it. I went through worse. And that's not what you're supposed to do, but okay. Like you can have that. I had that mentality. I've had anything bad I've had. I'm just being honest. Like job, yeah, screw the job. I don't care. I'll get another job. Who wouldn't want to hire me? You know what I'm saying? Like you can, when you're feasting, it messes you up because you're no longer fasting. You're no longer removing something out of your life and saying, God, come on. I know I've accepted a relationship with you, but there's not actually been a relationship. It's been very surface. You can get away with that in the beginning of a relationship, surface. It's physically driven. Most relationships are when they start out, right? It's when you have to learn that person and when you live with that person and when you see their flaws and you meet their family and realize they're crazy, right? All these many things, right? That's when it becomes no longer surface. The rubbers hit the road at that point, right, guys? So we think in our life, like, what in our life could we think in this mentality of God? And it's us prayer. It could be in that parking lot today. It could be you could go pull in you may be driving to work and you pull over to a random I do this. Pull over to a random parking lot and turn off all your garbage, right? Turn off all electronics, put all that stuff away, and you just sit there until God speaks to you. That's it. And if you don't feel it, try it again next day or later that day. Because once you knock at that door, what does he do? He answers it. Right? Sometimes he might hear you the first time. Because they ain't used to you coming to the door. Feel me? You look like a telemarketer or a Jehovah's Witness or something. I don't know. Right? But when I come consistently, guys, what I'm saying is that God, it's just incredible. If I didn't have that, I would not be the father I am, and I'm not perfect whatsoever. I would not be the father I am. I would not be the husband I am. I would not be. I would be an alcoholic again. I would have affairs. I'm just telling you, I'd be addicted to everything that was available because I don't know how to stop feasting without God. I'm just telling you, I have a massively addicted personality. Massively addicted personality. Yeah.
Do me a favor, take your little magic marker and draw a little sliver there. Your God time.
Yeah.
your spiritual time, right? What are we doing? We're feasting on everything else and we're fasting from God. When you went through your transformation, your jobs and all the alcohol and stuff like that, we all seen it. You're feasting on the Lord. You're spending time with Him to transform you. Right? That's what we really need to focus on. We need to make that a bigger thing. I've seen something different than that pie. It's a sign of the cross.
Yeah.
Put the sign of the cross up there and put your career, your work, your spiritual, your relationships, and your social. Yeah. The sign of the cross has a little bit bigger impact than the circle. Think about it that way, and you break it down to four.
And if you want, thank you, Mike. And if you want, and I'm going to end with this, if you want to learn how to fast and not feast, guys, I don't know where to be a better room to do it. You got like 6 or 8 people at each table right now. Like it's up to us to say, hey, here's my number, here's your number, let's get coffee this week. I have no idea who you are. Never seen you here before. You want to grab coffee this week? I mean, just be bold. Vladimir, me and him talked about this. Like I'm telling you, it's Adam with Recovery Refuge, right? He needs help mentoring those guys over there. Like you're missing a blessing. Now, trust me, because you ain't got time, right? There's so many incredible things. It gives me chill bumps thinking about it because I've shared so many blessings in this room and men that have progressed out of this room. It's absolutely just earth-shattering what God's got for us, right? Think about it. Fasting, not feasting. Fasting, not feasting.